Alright, Alico3 here, and we're going to do the NFL buy, sell, and hold video. One I've been talking about for a while, but I haven't gotten to. But we are here. So this is for week one. It's the list was prepped around week one, week two, so it's pretty much like a preseason guide to picks that I have for buy, sells, and holds going into the 2018 season. This is just strictly not talking about like having fun in the hobby, but kind of more towards the investment side of it and long-term buys and sells. So let's just go over the criteria for a buy. For buys, I just think they're sound investments and they have a higher chance or probability of keeping the current value and going up in the future. Sells are value that players who have a high probability of already peaking and probably going to decrease in the future, in my opinion. All these picks are just my opinion. So let's get into it here. And there's a lot of players I didn't touch on in this, but it would take forever. It'd be like a 3-hour video if I talked about like every player, buy or sell. So in the comment section, just drop some questions. You know, if you have a player that you want to ask my opinion on, and then if that's kind of how we can go about it from there. For a hold, it's just kind of a player that is I think it's a stable investment, and there won't be as much volatility in the market for those players' cards. So let's get right to it. And we got Jared Goff here. So he went nuts on Thursday night against the Vikings, 6 touchdowns. During his 2016 rookie season, he just looked like a rookie, basically. He didn't have the right coach, and there wasn't a lot of hype for him after 2016. A lot of people were calling him a bust. But he came back in 2017 and led the Rams to the playoffs, and he looked a lot better. And then he's kind of come into his own in 2018, and he looks like he could be one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think a card to pick up would be his 2016 Prism Auto, the base one. It's not numbered. And there's also other variations you can get, like the purple crystal. I think there's a green. So there's different kinds of the Prisms. And then also take a look at the Contenders rookie ticket autos for him. Larry Fitzgerald's a buy because he's third all-time in receiving yards, and he should pass T.O. around week 6 of the year. That's my prediction. First ballot Hall of Famer and a class act. One of the basic rookies that I want to just be his top scrum base rookie, 25 to 40 raw, probably on the cheap end on that one. You can probably pick it up 25 to 30 all day long. And then also take a look at his Contenders rookie ticket. But it's an SSP to like 50 copies, and it goes for over 1,000. So that's kind of more for the people that want to spend a lot on his cards. This is kind of something that happens every year with these running backs. They have a short shelf life, but I think if you buy them cheap, you know, when they're not in the starting lineup, and then just hold them until they have a couple of good games, you can get a pretty good bounce back on pricing. So this is just 3 backs that had good games yesterday. Nick Chubb in the middle. He had 3 carries for 103 yesterday. Sony Michel topped 100, and Kerryon Johnson on the right. And there's a lot of other backs that I left out here. Well, they're listed here. Ronald Jones, Royce Freeman, any back basically in the 2018 class, you could add to this list. Juju Smith-Schuster, just a kid that's put up a lot of numbers already. It looks like he's primed to put up a lot in the future. He's only 21, so the sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's going to be productive for years to come. His cards are still very affordable, and I would just look for him as a solid buy moving forward. Just hope he stays healthy. Frank Gore, and I kind of singled out his 2005 rookies are going to be the cards that you want to pick up. I think his cards are dirt cheap. It's probably because he's been in the league for so long, and a lot of people have forgotten about him and moved on to different players. But he will finish his career a top 5 rusher all time, and he's got a couple cool on-card rookie cards to pick up. On the left here, you got the Ultimate Collection at 225, and on the right, you got the Spa. And they're very affordable still. They should jump up a little as time goes on, but I just think they're solid investments. And you can also own a card of a player that's a top 5 rusher all time for a cheap price. Michael Thomas, this is pretty easy. He's a receiver, so he's kind of the same as Juju Smith-Schuster. He should play for a long time. He's already been extremely productive, and he's probably one of the top 5 receivers in the game right now. His cards don't seem to get tons of hobby attention. And that might be because people think he's doing great because he plays with a great quarterback, but I think he's still going to be great after Breeze decides to hang him up. So definite buy here with Michael Thomas. And these are kind of the Apple stocks of investing here: Brady, Breeze, and Rodgers. So these 3 are just head and shoulders above the rest of the players in the hobby. I know Breeze's stuff just took off this summer. His contenders, his rookie tickets going for like, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000 raw, and a PSA 9 went for 12,000. So that's just nuts. But you don't have to invest in the super crazy expensive ones. Like here in the middle, we got this Rodgers base tops. That's about $25, or you can get the Brady Star Rookie from Upper Deck for about 90 to 115. So there are nice cards to pick up still, and I think they're still buys because it seems like they go up every year. That might not be a tremendous amount, but they are stable investments in my opinion. I'm not a fan of Kirk Cousins, but I do think he's a buy just because he's still relatively young, about 29, and he's playing for a pretty good team, and his stuff doesn't seem like it's peaked either. I think his contenders, he's got a base and a variation. I think they go for 100 to 150, but I don't check his market, so you guys will have to chime in on that one. But, if he continues to pile up stats and maybe wins a Super Bowl down the road, his stuff should jump up. So I think he's a decent buy. We got to go with Adrian All-Day Peterson. First ballot Hall of Famer. His resume is continuing to get built with the Redskins. He's just kind of padding stats right now. He just topped 100 career rushing touchdowns, and he is moving up the all-time rushing list. So it's nice to see him be able to add to his stats and start. So one card to pick up would be the SPX to 299, or you can look at the Contenders rookie ticket. And also the SP Authentic is a nice one too. So a few options for Peterson rookies to collect, and I think he'll be first ballot Hall of Fame, but I'm also a fan of him. So I think Patrick Mahomes is still a good buy. We've seen kind of a lot of hype, and he's definitely earned the hype that he's gotten with the way he's played on the field. And this is kind of a player that I definitely forgot to buy last offseason. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm a Chiefs fan, and I could have picked up all his cards for a lot lower prices, but nobody can see the future, so we got to move forward with the data and the market that we have now. So I think Patrick Mahomes is still a buy. I don't think his stuff's peaked. You have to consider he's started like 3 games, or I don't know, around 3 games. He's only 23. If he continues to be an elite player, his stuff's only going to go higher. So I don't think it's too late to get on the Mahomes stuff. That's just my opinion on that one. But Patrick Mahomes is a buy. I think all the 2004 quarterbacks are still buys. Rivers, Manning, and Roethlisberger. They're all top 10 in passing yards right now, and that couple factors playing to that. One is they have been able to stay healthy and play a lot of games, and 2, the way the NFL has changed, it's just a lot easier to pile up passing yards and touchdowns, and that's just the way it is now. So they'll both continue to pad on the stats. I don't know how much longer they'll all play. I mean, they all seem to be playing at decent levels, so I think they'll all play as long as they can still be viable options. So lots of key rookies you can get for cheap prices from them still, and they're all going to be Hall of Famers too. Here's the sell one. So I had to put him on the sell list. It's not that I wanted to, but it just doesn't seem like he can drive the football down the field anymore. Looks like that whatever happened to his shoulder or his arm just kind of has turned him into more of a dink and dunk passer, which isn't that exciting. And I think his hobby is still somewhat high for what he's done in his career. He's won a couple playoff games, but hasn't done anything that crazy. So 2018 is an important year for him. But I just have to put him on this list. So sell Andrew Luck. Dak Prescott, he's another one of the dink and dunk passers. I don't think he's going to be the star that a lot of people thought in the 2016 season as a rookie. I think he's more of a game manager type player, and he's not going to put up the big numbers. And I know his stuff's dropped a lot, but I just think he's still a sell. Jimmy Garoppolo. No, I actually had him on this list before he hurt his knee, and it sucked to see him tear his knee because I wanted to see what he could do for an entire season because there's been a lot of hype for him, but he hasn't really done much on the field, like 10 career starts. So the one thing I don't like is when he starts the 2019 season, he'll be 27 years old already with 10 starts under his belt. He seems like he's getting a late start, but that's not to say he couldn't put together, 10 to 12 really good seasons and be a solid investment in the long term. But the way his stuff's valued right now, I would just sell it and then move forward. Marcus Mariota, doesn't seem like he's getting a lot better. I did do a pretty substantial investment in him in 2015, 2016. I'm trying to drop some of those now. It just seems like he's getting hurt a lot. He hasn't really improved much as a passer. And his hobby has started to already take a dive, but I just have to keep him on this sell list because I'm not seeing the traits of like a true elite franchise quarterback, which I had a feeling he might be, but it's hard to predict some stuff. Um, Jameis Winston, I don't see this kid being a great quarterback down the road. He's got a lot of tools and he does have talent. It's just the off the field stuff, and it doesn't seem like his head's there. And his hobby has taken a huge hit lately. His collectors have caught on to the fad with him, but he's kind of on his last rope probably with Tampa. I don't know what he'll do next, but Jameis Winston, I would just throw in the towel on him. Le'Veon Bell, I mean, I feel like his play on the field's peaked and his hobby's peaked too. He's 27. He's going to want a huge contract. He's got a pretty good amount of wear and tear on him, and I just think it's time to sell him now, and maybe you can buy back some cards if you're a fan of him later when he retires, but I think his stuff, I don't think he's going to top what he's done already on the field, so I think Le'Veon Bell is a pretty good sell candidate. David Johnson, another running back who I think his hobby's already peaked. A lot of tailbacks at peaks in their like second or third year, and 2016 was kind of his breaking out party. So he's on a team that doesn't have a lot of weapons or a lot of future success. I don't think they're going to be very successful in the next 2 or 3 years. So I would sell while he still has some value and move on to some other players. Des Bryant's going to kind of fall into the class of players that he was good but not great, and he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame with the numbers he has right now. I mean, he still needs like three really good years, I think, to be a Hall of Fame candidate. So this is going to affect his cards going forward as people aren't going to want to buy him because he's not a Hall of Famer, and he's kind of like a diva off the field too. So I think his 2016 stuff's going to continue to drop as time goes on. He really needs to get back on the field and start producing, but he is past his prime. Nick Foles kind of already had his time in the shine and led the team to the Super Bowl victory, but I think that time's passed now. Obviously, he's the backup, and maybe he gets a starting role with another team, but to me, it looks like he's just going to be a backup, and time to sell and move on with Foles stuff. Blake Bortles, he does show a lot of good qualities and flashes some awesome games. He lit up the Pats a couple weeks ago. Then he came back and laid a dud against the Titans. So he's just back and forth. I don't think he's ever going to be a true elite quarterback, and his numbers are never that great either. And I think a lot of collectors invest in people with the stats and numbers. So Blake Bortles, I would sell, put him on that list. And then let's get into the holds. So I got Carson Wentz as a hold. So his cards have cooled. They peaked November 2017. He still looks to be one of the elite or premier QBs moving forward. He could be a buy very soon if he puts together 3 to 5 solid games and looks healthy. I'd say he's right back in the buy category. I don't think his stuff's peaked either. And then Matt Ryan. He's racking up the stats, and he should top 50K in passing yards eventually. Doesn't seem to get the hobby respect, and he doesn't have a lot of cool 2008 rookie cards because I was kind of a down year in terms of sets and stuff. I don't think they made the coolest sets in 2008. They didn't come out with the stuff that matched 2007, in my opinion. So Matt Ryan is a nice hold. Derek Carr's a hold. He kind of had a rough season last year, and then his stuff peaked in the summer of 2017 before last season. But he's had a rough. His team's had a rough start. He's played decent, but his team has had a rough start to 2018, and they're not going to go to the playoffs with the way they've started. But I think Derek Carr, he's going to be around for a long time. I don't think you should just jump ship on him. Maybe just hold him for another year or two after this one. Russell Wilson, he's kind of on a team without a lot of weapons now, and the team doesn't look like they're going to be that competitive going forward. But he is going to continue to pile up the stats, and his cards should be stable, but I think there's not a lot of room for growth right now, at least. So I'd put him on the hold list. Zeke's a hold because I think he could be one of the few backs that plays for a long time and puts up great stats, and I know his stuff's dropped a ton, probably 60% since his rookie season. So you can probably get his cards pretty cheap, and he's still pretty young, about 23. So I think Zeke's a decent hold for now, but we'll have to monitor this moving forward. And then lastly, try to buy players who have cards that have not yet peaked. Kind of look at the market and kind of compare different players' cards to, other players, if that makes sense. And then it's always safer to invest in QBs over running backs or receivers. They just get the most attention and hobby love. Invest in wideouts over running backs. They just tend to play longer, less wear and tear. And then if you do see some elite defenders, you can go ahead and pick them up too. I think Khalil Mack could have been an easy player to put on the buy list. It seems like the elite defenders do carry some hobby attention and love. Some in the past that did were like Polamalu, Ed Reed, and Julius Peppers. So have fun, but also try to think of the long-term aspect of the items you invest in, because cards are a lot like commodities. They move up and down. That's why they're so fun, though. So I'm going to stop this recording and get this one uploaded, and drop in the comment section what you guys think about this video later.